Pilots. At this time, we ask you to please rise if you're able, and gentlemen, remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. In goal, number 1, Zach Shaw. Number 2, Richie Rivera. Number 4, Brandon Knudsen. Number 6, Herman C.
Welcome to the University of Portland for the opening game of the season, the first ever matchup between the University of Portland Pilots and the University of Central Arkansas. It's a massive weekend for the roadside for the University of Portland. It was a tremendous preseason, outscoring teams 9-1. I'm Adam Sussman, joined by my broadcast partner Angela Harrison. And the game starts to matter now.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had a better, Nick Carlin-Voigt could not have asked for a better preseason out of his team, but, you know, you're exactly right. The games start now it starts to matter, and they start to build for what they're working for, which is championships.
University of Central Arkansas, they were 11-6 in the ASUN Conference last year, co-champions. They're led by our away player to watch, Kareem Diaw, number 7. Just yesterday, he was announced on the Mac Herman watch list, one of 38 players in the nation to have that honor. One of 2 ASUN players on the list was also, if you're on the Mac Herman watch list, also on a unanimous selection for his preseason conference team. For the University of Portland, and our player to watch is Jake Arteaga. He came back for an extra year of eligibility due to COVID, and he's a mainstay in the midfield for the Pilots.
Absolutely. You know, he only has 1 assist in terms of numbered stats, but that's not what he does for this team. He's the glue in the midfield. He holds them together. His job today will be marshaling Diaw for the Pilots and keeping him in check and trying to limit his effectiveness in this game. And so Arteaga going to be a huge, huge player for the Pilots tonight.
We're moments away from kickoff. Let's take a look at the away lineup. Zach Shaw, Richie Laporte-Guevara, Braden Knudsen in defense, Jerry Gutierrez, Robin Heel, Kareem Diaw, as we mentioned, Merchi Randall, Porsa, Alex Kiss, and Chris Knacker. As we're underway at Merlo Field for the opening game of the season, as we said, University of Portland, they beat Oregon State 4-0 in preseason. They beat number 3 Washington 2-0, but now they matter. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Portland may feel a little bit hard done by Ange not to be in the top 25 as the season starts, but a tough non-conference, including UCA today, could change that rather quickly.
Absolutely. You know, non-conference doesn't matter. It really helps teams and helps coaches really kind of get some minutes in the legs of their players, and Carlin-Voigt had a particularly tough exhibition season for his team, and this is where they now start to put some things together and start to make their statements and line results up weekend by weekend.
For the University of Portland, the home lineup is as follows. George Tosser-Reese in net, as Fernandez is inside the 18, has a curling shot which forces a good save, and UCA are able to temporarily get rid. Back to the starting lineup, Jose Olmos, a transfer from Old Dominion, comes in at fullback, just made the tackle on the far side of the pitch. Jalen Rodwell partners Delence Pierre at center back. Jacob Babalai up top with Sebastian Nava on the left and Brandon Cambridge on the right. The midfield three, Nick Fernandez, who we didn't get to see that much last year due to injury. In his third year listed as a sophomore, he was all WCC second team as a freshman. He's surely to excite in the midfield. He's joined by Greg Tracy and Artiaga, who was our player to watch. Finally, the last fullback is Nick Denley. Cambridge inside the box. The Canadian has a left-footed effort, easily saved by Zach Shaw. Shaw, the 6'4" starting keeper from Dallas, Texas. Played 15 games last year, 1.23 goals against average, .690 save percentage. It's a towering figure in an all-red kit today. To clarify, because the visitors are wearing purple, they are attacking left to right. University of Portland in all white, attacking right to left. Classes, to my understanding, have not started yet and at UP, but surely the student section, Clive's Army, is out and full.
Well, it's move-in weekend, so all the parents, all the freshmen started move-in yesterday and today. The rest of the student body will start joining them over the course of the weekend, and classes are set to start next week.
As we're in the third minute of action, the ball has majority been at the feet of the University of Portland. This is the first time since 2003 that the Pilots are picked to win the West Coast Conference. Surely you appreciate their respect if you're University of Portland, but that's not something you want to pay attention to sometimes, because come November, we can look at those preseason rankings and sometimes be bamboozled.
Well, and Nick Carlin-Voigt said it best before the season. It's really nice to be thought of in this way. You know, you have the respect of your conference peers in terms of how they think of his team and that they really think highly of them enough to vote them. But really, the proof is in the pudding. He doesn't put much stock in it. Again, it's kind of nice to be thought about in that way. But really, he wants to see the results on the pitch.
Kareem Diaw drew the free kick for his team. Rodwell poked the ball back at him. He didn't initially like that. See if that lights a fire under his belly. Ball inside the penalty area. Goes to Nava. Has a culture touch. Is able to get one to slip. Almost. Ball trickles all the way back to Shaw. He was also the starter in the shortened 2020 campaign. That season he had 4 wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw. University of Central Arkansas had a tremendous turnaround last season after a losing year in 2020. They went 11-6, 5-2 in conference. Were named co-regular season champs with Lipscomb. They were 6-9-2 the year beforehand. But just 4-5 on the road. That should play into the University of Portland's favor. Tassaris. Back again, the Cyprian stud in net. Doesn't have his fellow Grand Canyon University transfer. But Andreu, who is ineligible to play today, has transferred to the University of Portland. So we get to the action, a couple of whistles here and there, slow down the flow of the game in the 5th minute. 0-0, Portland with, I believe, 3 shots on target already.
Well, it should be noted for those looking, you just mentioned Andreu, who is serving a red card suspension from last season in this match. So is, for the University of Portland, Kevin Bonilla, pretty stalwart player at outside back for the Pilots, received a red card in their second-round tournament loss to University of Washington last year. Last game of the season means you're going to serve your suspension first game of the season.
University of Portland played 2 games against Washington last year, had late red cards in each. The first, Luke Hendel, the German senior who's no longer with the team. He has graduated in the final game, Bonilla. Opening corner of the game for the visitors as the Bears look like they can have an outswinger with the right foot from the near side of the pitch. A low ball easily dealt with by Fernandez. No white jersey within the vicinity. Alex Kiss sent a teasing ball into the box. Tassaris thinks about a long throw, instead opts for possession. Nick Denley, who just received the ball from Delence Pierre, is the one taking over for Bonilla in the left back position. He gets shoved from behind, and the call is given, though Denley wouldn't end up on the deck. Denley, a sophomore, has had quite the journey at UP as the Pilots lose possession in 2020, his first year he tore his ACL. Ended up not playing in 2021, and this season, if you're a University of Portland fan, you probably saw on social today, he received a scholarship from the team. And I saw him in preseason, he looked incredible. He looked very good and comfortable at that fullback position.
Well, the team overall looks very good. I came out and watched a few games in the exhibition as well, and Carlin Voigt is really trying to encourage a little bit more creativity, some transition in formations. They'll always look kind of a little bit like a 4-3-3, but in attack they could line up somewhat different, but it'll always kind of resemble that. And so really encouraging that kind of tactical thinking to have a little bit more fluidity in what they're doing in the game.
We mentioned our players to watch. The matchup to watch includes Kareem Diaw versus Jose Olmos. They've been going back and forth at it. Olmos just had a shove in the back of him, which allows a set piece for the visitors. Tracy fighting for it on the edge of the box. Diaw still has it, a low shot, and the first save of the game for George Tassaris. Tassaris with a 7.78 save percentage last year. Was WCC's second team. Bonilla will certainly be missed in this not necessarily new formation for the University of Portland, because we saw them play a 4-3-3 in attack at times last year, but Bonilla as an attacking fullback at the left is built perfectly for this system. Laporte Guevara won the ball back well initially, but lost it. And now that's going to go out of play. Foul by Nick Denley. A local product from McMinnville, Oregon. Played for FC Portland, a historic club in the region.
Well, and really just a good story. He actually initially went to Concordia University, just in the neighborhood roughly in Northeast Portland, but Concordia as a university shut down. And so left a lot of student athletes in the lurch without a place to play, and he was able to, get an opportunity here and really fight and battle and earn his way onto this team.
Certainly made the most of it. 5'7" sophomore. He played 8 games, 441 minutes for Capital FC in USL League 2 this summer. Got even more experience under his belt for a high level of soccer in the Pacific Northwest. Ball clipped in. Diaw has a volley, and it's a lot of velocity behind it. Player down for the University of Portland. Looks like Rodwell.
This happened, I think, in the preseason game against UW. He's got a recurring issue with a shoulder, and so his shoulder may have popped out and just needs to be whacked back in, unfortunately, to get a little gruesome there. But to add some color to the story of Denley, you mentioned that the team awarded him with a full ride scholarship. So they actually ended up playing a prank on him, and they had P-Safe got the public safety department involved and had him thinking that he was going to be in trouble, and had P-Safe come visit him, and so they picked him up and brought him into a room where the whole team was waiting, and they were able to award him with that scholarship.
From agony to ecstasy.
Gotta have a little fun with it,
Rodwell is trotting off. I think he may have a bloody nose because he is holding something to his face. Is that number 3 or 4? It's Jose Olmos.
It's Olmos.
Yeah. He almost scored the opening goal against the University of Washington in the 5th minute. Had a nice finish at the back post and landed on his shoulder during that goal. At first, it looked like he was faking an injury and then went into a celebration, but about 10 minutes later on, he re-injured the shoulder and had to leave the game.
You see Olmos there letting the assistant referee, AR1 on the sideline, know that bloody noses don't happen on accident, that there may have been a bit of contact there.
They're going to show up even more on a beautiful white kit by the Pilots. It is going to be Portland possession. Nick Carlin Voigt going to have a word with the 4th official.
Substitutions for the Pilots, number 28, Sebastian Hernandez.
Into the game, Sebastian Hernandez, another fullback we haven't seen all too much. He's going to slide in a like-for-like replacement at right back. The Californian Academy played for LA Galaxy. redshirted last season due to a leg injury. So congratulations to him for his first regular season minutes with the University of Portland. Referee temporarily played advantage. Nick Fernandez from Downers Grove, Illinois, near my neck of the woods where I grew up.
I think it, by my count, would be the second pilot soccer program player from Downers Grove. The first one on the women's side, legendary goalkeeper Aaron Dees, who played here in the first part of the 2010s decade.
Yeah, Fernandez, as a freshman, making WCC second team. You can only do one better than that and make first team, but getting him back is like getting a completely new player, considering you didn't have him at all last season. Another one in the starting lineup that was injured for about half of last year, Delence Pierre. I saw him play this summer in USL League 2. He's number 24 in the back line. He's just a player that doesn't make mistakes, and he's much bigger and faster than you think in person. Here's Babalai.
You need that. You know, with some of the depth that Portland lost last season, you need players like Pierre to step up and start to show their maturity and growth that they have had, as we see a bit of contention there.
Yeah, Rodwell looked like he got tabletop, but the foul is on him as he kind of smushed the player underneath.
Looks like that's Randall for...
Yeah, number 10, Jonathan
Bears.
Randall.
So we watch that ball go straight up in the air there, and as we see Rodwell come just in over the top there.
That's a tough call to make.
Gets under call. It is at that point, and
everyone looks back to their feet. The Bears have some hydration support on the pitch as well. Might take a second or two for this game to get back going. Both head coaches are consulted on the sideline. 11th minute of action, still scoreless. If you are not familiar with college soccer, the time does stop, which personally I like better than MLS, professional soccer overseas, when there is a lengthy stoppage in play and then there is no stoppage time. There's another bloody nose on UCA now. It's number Murchie, the captain for today's squad. Have to ask the groundskeeper what's the best way to get blood out of grass.
water. Just dump a bunch of water at it. So
Shabani comes into the game in replacement of Murchie, the captain. Shabani, an underclassman from Sweden. Played 8 games as a freshman, had a goal and 2 assists. A goal and 1 assist came against the same side, Jacksonville. That was his breakout game. See if he plays more than 8 this season. Ball jumps on the other side of the chalk into touch for a University of Portland throw-in. Portland looked fluid, free-flowing, had 3 shots on target in about 3 minutes. Since then, the game has been muddied up a little bit by the visiting Bears. And you have to say, it's been to their advantage in the last 5 or so.
at this point, you know, with the pressure that Portland was putting on, I think the game got a bit physical, more physical than they probably wanted.
Denley in the box, sends in a low cross and lets it go out for a corner.
And so they've just been working to get that game back under control. Some chippiness going back and forth, and so really the game just needs to come back and get into a little bit more of soccer and less boxing. Less bloody noses, please.
Another substitution for the University of Portland. Sebastian Hernandez leaves. I was very confused because number 29 came into the game. We don't have a number 29 on our roster, but I believe that's Jose Olmos wearing a different jersey because his first was bloodied.
The blood jersey, yep.
Yeah.
Number 29, Jose Olmos.
So that's a change to note for the listeners. Corner did not amount to much for the University of Portland.
If you ever wondered how that's handled when they get blood on the jersey, they do have to remove it. And
near disaster for Zach Schall. Jacob Babalai gets a toe on it. And about a meter away from the end line, getting past the full ball, does have to pass it. Nonetheless, it didn't get that close, but the oohs and ahs would tell you otherwise. Zach Shaw, I don't think he's trying that again this game, though. Cambridge. Babalite going over the top to his forward teammate, to Schalt. Neither team really able to string together double-digit passes thus far, as Kareem Diao ends up on the deck, almost gets the better of him, and then hits it right off him, and it falls in a tough spot for Portland. Denley leaves the line and gives it up to Tracy. Fernandez picks his head up, slows the pace, and then it goes over the top to a runway for Babalai. Denley uses his noggin well, 19 yards away, and it looks like it hit off a hand in the box, but it was off the second touch. Nick Carlin-Voigt slapping his hand over and over again.
We'll see Merici re-enter the game.
Here's another look at what Nick Carlin-Voigt is talking about. Hits off his chest and then his hand. And it is in a natural position. Merici, number 8, comes back into the game. Merici from Verona, Italy, but played his club soccer this summer not so far away at Lane United down in Eugene. Was part of the Chivo Academy. Played a few games in Serie D and C, the 3rd and 4th divisions in Italy. And prior to the game, you talked about, on paper, it may look like a 4-3-3, but in different facets of the game, it's going to be different. When Portland has lengthy possession, Denley's playing like a left winger, and it's a back 3 with Pierre, Olmos, and Rodwell.
Yeah, you kind of are shifting into almost a 3-1-2-4. I mean, it's again very fluid. What they have to be caught is just this situation right here is getting caught in transition, because when that happens, they have to be able to get mobilized and get numbers behind the ball as soon as possible.
Good return pass into the box, low cross, open at the back post. Second chance, the touch is too heavy. It's still floating around, and finally it's in. The Bears are up 1-0 in the 16th minute. It was disaster in the box for Portland. No one could get a knockout hit, and just like that, the team all the way from Arkansas is up 1-0 at Merlot Field.
I believe that's Chris Knacker who ended up knocking that in. He's the left back, and that's kind of the different pressure that is happening in there. Portland didn't transition well, and then it just becomes chaos in the box.
No one could quite get rid. It was a poor clearance initially, a heavy touch. Tracy tries to send in a tackle.
And here comes Knacker right there,
and it's
just
almost
underneath there.
It's almost as much Arteaga's goal. He gets his toe on it as he tries to clear it away, and then just hits off the orange boot of Knacker and goes nearly barred down. Not much Tassaris can do about that.
And Portland just needs to, it's very difficult in that level of chaos to clear the ball, but at some level just needs somebody to smash it onto the dome of the Child Center.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a ugly goal to give up, and we talked about preseason being kind to University of Portland. Being in a losing position is not one they were in. It's like Merici was down again, getting beaten up in the opening.
Little bruised here.
Yeah. I keep thinking their athletic trainer is like a streaker or a fan on the pitch, because he's just wearing a white shirt and black pants and doesn't scream athletic trainer, but he seems like he's having a busy job so far today. Clive's Army will be forced to stay lively as their team trails by 1. Situation Portland has not been in since last November in the tournament.
Substitution was sent for Arkansas, number 14, Daniel Shabani on, replacing number 13, Masoud Porsa.
Masoud Porsa leaves the game as Shabani, his second sub appearance of the game, comes back in.
Portland, this is where, again, in transition.
Low shot from distance. Tassaris not too troubled.
See Diao harassing Tassouris a little bit.
Kareem Diao has launched a few shots from distance and has frustrated Olmos, and doing the same to the University of Portland keeper. Denley body checked advantage has played well. Tracy to Cambridge. Cambridge is certainly a difference maker for the Pilots as a step over to his right side and goes out for a far side corner kick.
And that's a great start of attack there from Tassouris, playing it all the way out wide to Denley. And this is what I watched Portland in training and talked a little bit to Nick Carlin-Voigt. This is where his words, he wants his team to be ruthless. He wants them to be killers. So that pass went from Denley and ended with a shot from Cambridge in about 5 or 6 seconds. That's the lightning fast transition that he is looking for from this team to really catch other teams off guard.
Another player down, as Portland want this corner kick to be sent in quickly. They have a brief bit of momentum.
Fortunately, I don't think this is Murchie again.
Central Arkansas bar postseason. This is one of the biggest weekends in their club's history. Facing the University of Portland for the first time ever.
Oh, it is Murchie again.
And this may be his curtain call, unfortunately, as he needs an athletic trainer and a player to help him hobble off. As I was saying about Central Arkansas, this is their third game ever in the state of Oregon. They've played Oregon State twice, lost both, last in 2010. And they face, I'm not going to say number 2 Washington, because the number 2 team in the country, Georgetown, did lose the other week. But seemingly a top 5 team in the country, Washington, their first ever game in that state as well. Quite the journey from Arkansas to the Pacific Northwest, and 17 minutes in, so far so good. Denley, the left back, swings it in inside the 6-yard box. The black hair of Arteaga, the closest to it.
Yeah, head coach for Arkansas, Central Arkansas, Frank Kohlenstein, is in his second year, but he's been around the program for several years as a consultant. So, you know, what you oftentimes see is a large amount of roster turnover for a second-year head coach as they start to get players in that they want. Frank Kohlenstein has been around the program, knows exactly what's there, and so has done a good job in terms of scheduling. Really is going after. They lost in the, you know, they tied for the regular season ASUN title last year. They lost in the conference championships, missing out on an NCAA berth, and so his goal is to make sure that he schedules very tough teams, very tough on the road to keep his team in the hunt once the ASUN conference play comes around.
Kohlenstein, no stranger to the college game. The winningest coach in Colorado School of Mines history. He was there for 20 seasons. Right in front of the UCA bench, as they were claiming it was last off Nava's foot. Referee's word is final, and we're back playing. Arteaga recycles it outright to Olmos, being closed down by Kareem Diao. Pierre. Battle 8 was the intended target. Tracy was in a sticky situation and gets the best of it. A little bit too far for a shot on net, but a set piece opportunity nonetheless in the 19th. Fernandez, the man to take. A slight breeze from right to left as the sun has set after a beautiful day in Portland. A well-worked set piece as Jose almost kicks the wall in frustration. It was about as close to the end line as you could get, hits off almost the back of the keeper, but then no UP player there to be able to manage the rebound.
And that play 100% by design, getting players running into the back post, redirecting into the front of the 6. Very difficult to defend for a goalkeeper, very difficult to defend in the box as the ball is quickly redirected.
Cambridge, if that got past the defender, Nava was there to chase at the back post. Lovely move to get past one, hits the side netting, and it's going to go out for a corner.
That was Richie Lapointe Guevara sliding in there, denying that initial opportunity and keeping this lead for UCA. Here we get another look at it. Great ball in here. And just at the back post, again, right by design, right on the end line. You can see how hard that is. Everybody's standing around, not really sure. You're going to have your own players as a goalkeeper, your own players running at you. Very difficult to clear that ball back without conceding an own goal.
Good corner to the back post. Referee says no, no, no to the player on the ground. Yeah, off that last replay, not often do you see a keeper forced to make a save facing his own net. And the ball initially went through his legs, but then his arm swinging behind him made the deflection.
Sebastian Anderson on replacing number 10, Jonathan Randall.
Jonathan Randall leaves the game, making way for the Norwegian Sebastian Andersen. This is his first year with the Bears. He comes from Young Harris University, part of the Atlantic Sun Conference preseason squad. Had a positive first touch there as UCA are on the break. Lovely pass on the right flank. He gets it back. Good cross to the back post. The tall frame of Andresen close, but no cigar. Portland still trailing. Clive's Army ready to explode if they able to grab just one. Nava, miscommunication on the pass. Frustrations certainly not showing yet, but those are the type of plays that can get there. Nava gets it back, loses it. Pierre challenged from the side. Central Arkansas, 24 yellow cards in 17 games last year.
Portland right now, one thing they can do is just take fewer touches, move the ball a bit quicker. They're taking, you see, a couple extra comfort touches, a couple extra seconds for UCA to get back around behind the ball and disrupt the flow of what Portland is trying to do. So fewer touches, move the ball just a bit quicker here.
It seems like the best plays of this game so far have been when Portland get it to their wingers quickly. Nava shoulder to shoulder, takes the bump, stays on his feet. The ball gets caught up in the grass. Jose Olmos, a transfer from Old Dominion. Actually, two players on Central Arkansas that are from Old Dominion as well. Jonathan Abusada and and Diego Gonzalez. '23rd minute. In real time, we've played something like 30. We've seen injuries pop up. Almost. Breaks the midfield line, goes straight to Babalai. Off the shin pad last of a purple kit as Germain Sanga getting ready to come into the game.
Number 21, Germain Sanga on, replacing number 16, Greg Tracy.
Not quite a like-for-like replacement as Greg Tracy, more of a holding midfielder. Germain Sanga, Canadian player, transfer from Memphis. Last year, saw significant playing time in the back half of the season in the tournament game against Washington. Played a big role as well. Kareem Diaw, waiting for the troops in support.
And this is, I like this sub here from Carlin Boyd. He's putting Sanga up against Knacker, the goal scorer. Knacker's the one who came in pretty hard against Sebastian Nava a few moments ago. Sanga a bit bigger, a bit more physical, and a lot more pace to take on. That's going to push Nava into the middle and allow him and his technical ability to see what he can create through the middle of the park.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Nava. He's a very diverse player on the pitch. Last season, when Portland often played a 4-4-2, he was one of the wide midfielders, but from that wide position did a lot of running, a lot of defensive work. And he's capable of popping up with a shot from distance, about a game or two every now and then. Artiega. Denley gets it right in the foot. Did not look fun to take.
That's a tough tackle from Shabani to come in like that.
Yeah, Denley tried to dance past it. Delence Pierre, usually one of the more quiet players on the pitch, saying, ref, nope. might want to take a look at that.
Yeah, that for me is a pretty reckless challenge from Shabani, just trying to come in and break up the play there. But that's the kind of tackle that could end somebody's season if you're not careful.
Yeah, thankfully it wasn't too high, looking more of the top of the foot for Denley, and he's back up and trotting. Denley. Pierre takes it off the collarbone, pops up. Fernandez uses the laces. Play shifts out right. Cambridge has 2 on him. Gets past Diao initially, and then Diao's going to be charged with the foul.
And you see there, Cambridge, this is what I'm talking about. Cambridge has to know where he's going with that ball. I get he's trying to draw Diao in, but Diao is very quick, so Cambridge has to know what's happening with that ball within the first or second touch in order to keep the play moving and keep pulling UCA apart.
Almost steers it right to the middle for Fernandez, who faces some forward pressure and a whistle coming every 20 seconds or so. UCA again muddying the game up. Clive's Army trying to chant on their squad. And there is the first yellow of the game.
And that's Andre Assen, who came in. That's a deserved foul that the referee called him for, and didn't like it. If you're gonna speak back to the referee, you gotta be careful what you're gonna say, because this is there's just some things you can't say to referees.
Senior from Norway, comes from Young Harris University in Georgia. Played 55 games there, solid 21 goals and 17 assists. Clock ticks forward to 26:07, and play resumes. Pierre to Nava. Nava, poor pass. Andresen running between the 2 center backs. Pierre shoulders him off, and then a ball bulleted into the stands.
Exactly what was needed there from Tassouris, just to make sure that he gets his team back and ready to go. And it's uncharacteristic there from Nava to give the ball away like that, but well played, well handled there from the Pilots. But you can see what Nava was trying to do, just what I said, play quicker, play 1 and 2 touch, and just the ball just got away from him there. Just need to be a little more tidy.
Denley trying to trap UCA in their own, in the corner. Knacker, the goal scorer. 4 closest players to him are all University of Portland Pilots. Taking his time on the throw-in, warming up the ball in his hands. Fernandez does good, splits the double. As Sanga running to left, that's where he goes, and not sure if it was initially intended or not, but a great tackle by Lapointe Guevara. Diao starts the break. Lens Pierre cuts it out. Nava stops. This pass nearly more precise than the last. It goes out of play.
And that's good recognition from Nava to do in contrast to what I was saying in terms of playing quickly, to hold the play up a little bit, let his teammates get forward so that he can find somebody to keep the ball moving forward.
And like you said, Sanga is coming to this game. He's been popping out wide often, trying to just use that pace and that tall physical frame to trouble the back line. Hasn't quite gotten it yet, but at least the runs are there. Couple of substitutions getting ready for the University of Portland. CJ Tibbling, an exciting transfer, one of them. Foul by Denley. Oliver Jeppa, the 19-year-old from Denmark, number 12, will be making his first regular season appearance for the University of Portland. A 6'1" defender. Carlin Voigt certainly not afraid to play young defenders. We see it every season. This year as well, the starting center back pairing is Delence Pierre, and Rodwell is a sophomore, Jose Olmos. And then Bonilla was leading this back line in minutes last year. as a sophomore. I think Portland could use Bonilla's crossing ability right now to try to create some goals. 3 shots on goal early from the University of Portland. Since it's been relatively quiet, bar 1 set piece opportunity from almost at the back post. Diao, a head full of steam. Approaching the final third, plays the through ball instead. George Tassaris does what a defender does and shields off. Referee comes marching in.
It's great work there from Tassaris. Comes out early, lets it be known that he's going to be there, and make sure that Andreasen cannot see a sniff of that ball. Andreasen wanted a foul, but everything there that was happening was above board.
CJ Tibbling, he's a Swedish player. The last handful of seasons from 2018 and 2021 played at Seton Hall over on the East Coast. Was incredible there. Accolades aplenty. 2020 All-American, second team. 2021 was on the Mac Herman watch list, all Big East team 3 times. 2018 All-Freshman. He's someone who is maybe the most physical player on this pitch, playing at center forward at that central striker spot for Portland. He can often be on an island, but if he can turn his back to net and really just back into those center backs, he's someone who can be a weapon off the bench or starting for Nick Carlin-Voigt. Under 15 minutes to go in the first half. Portland trying to scrape back a goal after Chris Knacker had an unorthodox finish to make it 1-0. Cambridge using his pace well. Ball teased into Sanga. Almost reaches the back post, and CJ Tibbling, but Shaw able to spring out and grab it. There's a tantalizing ball just inside the 6-yard box, ultimately, as Portland wins it back quickly. Cambridge going direct, has a Cruyff turn. Not sure if it was intentional or not. Sends it through the crowd. Right there, Sanga, save!
Great work. This is much better from the Pilots. UCA playing a little bit more compressed, playing into Portland's hands here. Portland is able to move the ball a bit quicker here. Here you see Cambridge with a nice ball across, saying a good turn around Knacker, and great save there from Zach Shaw, showing his chops as the starting goalkeeper. That's why he's doing what he's in there as the starter. But this is much better from Portland.
So I'll look on the replay there as the ball not palmed away by Zach Shaw. And I couldn't do it, so I'm not going to criticize, but I'll make you do the hard decision. Is that a ball from Sanga that you want to take first time?
In that situation, no. I mean, he had where he was being defended from and where the goalkeeper was showing him the space, it would have been blocked. So that's a really good decision from him to turn and try to find something into that near post on his side. So I think that's just a fine decision there from Sanga.
CJ Tibbling flashing his physicality there. Fortunately for Portland, it was a foul. Almost rammed into, and he's not happy about it.
And that's, again, another tough foul there from Shabani. Just comes in. For me, it's just a bit reckless coming in. And that's the energy that you want from players coming off the bench. You want them coming in. You want them working hard. You want them just making challenges. But right now, Shabani's just playing a little bit over the edge. And I think he's going to get a yellow card for it. It's his second tough challenge. He had the warning when he did what he did against Denley, and he'll get another. Oh, it's Tassaris getting the card. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the 5'10" defender from Sweden.
He still has his card out, so it looks like he is going to get a booking here. But Tassaris, again, sticking up for his teammate, doing what he's supposed to do, but there are some things that you cannot say to a referee. They will draw a line, and they should.
Yeah, right next to the ref is head coach Frank Kohlenstein.
Tassaris has to be careful here. The referee needs to walk away. On a yellow card, he needs to walk away and just he said his piece and needs to leave it at that.
Yeah, Tassaris, the 6'3" grad transfer keeper. Certainly expressive on the pitch when he makes a huge save. He lets out a howl, but can also sometimes go to his detriment when he gets a yellow or two for talking to the referee.
Here we see Shabani again working exceptionally hard, but goes in there without really any intent to play the ball. Just goes in there to get in there and make the challenge, and just a tough challenge there.
In Tasarisa's defense, if anyone's going to talk to the referee, the man with the captain's armband for the University of Portland has at least some right, and he is taking full advantage of so.
Yellow card booking to Portland, number 1, George Tasariz in the 33rd minute. Yellow card booking.
Looks like number 19, Bernard Asebi Rule, a grad transfer from Wisconsin Green Bay. That's the school, not where he's from, onto the pitch. He's from Oakdale, Minnesota. This is his first season with UCA. 6 foot in 4 seasons at Green Bay. Didn't get as much time as he would like. Had 3 goals and an assist from a midfield position. Be exciting to see Oliver Yeppa. Saw bits and pieces of him in preseason. Portland, excellent at recruiting every year under Nick Carlin-Voigt. It's been top 25 in the country. But unlike many teams in Division I college soccer, the international flair has not been abundant. So grabbing a high recruit from Norway is exciting and a little bit of a change of pace for this program. University of Central Arkansas, on the other hand, Ange, as Yeppa makes his first pass on the ball, back to Jose Olmos. I mean, 2/3 of the squad is almost European.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity in the U.S. as the game starts to become more and more professional here in this country. I mean, Carlin-Voigt's had the smallest recruiting class for his freshmen that he's had in a while, and that's because he's had 2 players that he had committed to this program, but then signed professional contracts to move on and move into the professional ranks here in this country. And so you're going to start to see, I think, a lot more opportunities for a lot of very different players and a lot of different style of players coming through for programs, and it's really obviously a coach's choice, a head coach's choice in terms of how they want to stack their teams with talent.
Yeppa keeps it in play, but gives it back to the opposition. Andresen, cut out by the Swedish forward, CJ Tibbling. And in the modern day of college sports, with the transfer portal being ever present in each program, going and coming, Nick Carlin-Voigt bringing in 3 transfers this year, and 3 good transfers as well. Getting someone like CJ Tibbling, who's formerly an All-American second team, brings a different look than Babale.
Well, it just brings more versatility into how you can play. If you're going to be a run-and-gun direct team that just has pace that's going to outrun the players of the ball and just do power shots, very much all about pace and power, or it gives you a little bit more technical ability in terms of being able to drop in, hold up the play, beat players one-on-one. That's really all that you're looking for, is just that versatility and how you can attack.
Sanga has Denley overlapping, takes up the option, and Denley sees it fall out of play. It's a great location for a left-footed cross. Fortunately, was thinking about what was next before he was actually controlling the ball. Frank Kohlenstein, the head coach in his 2nd season at UCA. Expressive on the sideline. He's been with the program since 2017. After spending 20 seasons at the Colorado School of Mines, he then joined the University of Central Arkansas Bears as a consultant. And then he took over for Ross Duncan, who resigned after 9 years. They asked him to be head coach. Said, hey, sure, why not? And what a turnaround it's been. He achieved 231 wins at Colorado School of Mines. He's .643 win percentage. Coached professionally with the Raleigh Flyers and the Richmond Kickers in the mid and late 90s. Both independent clubs then. Clean moves by UCA. It could be number 15, Alex Kiss. Got past a trio of pilots.
when you're dealing with free kicks like that and you're playing against a team that is very aggressive and in your face in their counterattacks, when you defend those free kicks and you win them away like that, you've got to be careful about how hard and how fast you press up, because you leave opportunities for Alex Kiss and players like him to be able to move smoothly past you just like they did. You're running real fast to try to close that space, and makes it easy for them to see their opportunities to slip in behind you.
Tibbling had a swing and a miss inside the own 18, and it keeps the chance alive for the Bears. Fernandez thought about dummying to the opposite side. Instead makes the right decision, goes to where grass is greener, the near side of the pitch. Sanga. Denley. Almost takes about 2 heavy strides forward. And then Sanga, no one quite knows where the ball is. And Sanga stood his ground, and then the player topples over him. Sanga gets charged with the foul.
Similar to what we saw go against Portland earlier in the game, just undercut his player there as he was trying to figure out how to, as you said, stay his ground, trying to figure out how to get that ball. And undercutting a player like that, that's going to earn you a foul.
Just over 7 minutes left to go in the opening period. University of Portland have looked strong in flashes, especially the opening 5 to 7 minutes. But since it's been a game that looks like it would be the openings too, CJ Tibbling.
This is Knacker coming through on Tibbling.
Tibbling was holding his right shin. He's back up on his feet. Portland wanted to play quickly, aren't afforded the opportunity. Second yellow card of the game for the Bears. Knacker, like Jalen Rodwell, who's the right-sided center back for the University of Portland, both capped at youth level for New Zealand. Knacker at U17 level. Jalen Rodwell at U20s. Cambridge opens up his chest, has 3 to him. Tries to get across him with the left foot. It does stay inside. Yepa doesn't let the ball go to Diao. And Diao swings a player across and earns the opposition the ball back. This is a University of Portland team that, starting 11-wise, there's a lot of familiar names. Arteaga, Tassourice, Pierre and Wadwell in the back line. Bonilla coming back from a red card. This is still a side that has lost 14 players from the year prior. And that's just the reality of college soccer in 2022. So much turnover from season to season. Just outside the 6-yard box, the header comes in. And it was in an awkward spot about chest level, or just below. And Jose Olmos can't get it.
Almost, yeah. He's got in there and got on the end of things, doing well to be a presence in that box. I mean, that's why he's a great center back. He gets up, he wins things, he takes care of business back there. And having him up on set pieces is great. It's a great ball in from Denley. Just puts it right up in the air, makes it very difficult for the goalkeeper to come out. It's a good redirect, and almost just can't get it down on Franum enough. And that, again, is just a great ball back there from Pierre.
Almost had to get low for the ball. Unfortunately for him, got too low. Julian Kunze, the German fullback who played at UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, last handful of seasons, comes in for Portland. He was strong defensively in preseason, especially against the likes of Washington. Going forward is a little bit more raw than I would say Denley is. But having a big body defensively can't hurt for situations like this. Less than 5 to go in the opening half. UCA trying to grab a second. Tassourice punches his own player in the back. Delence Pierre is down. Gets hit in the back of the neck. Tassaris going to give his apologies. It looks like Fernandez is down as well.
Yeah. Just motioning for the trainer coming out there, and you know, Tassaris has to do what he has to do there. He's got to come up and try to make a play and break it up. And you know, all goalkeepers are really taught that if you have to go through your player to get the ball, you go through your player to get the ball if you can get it. And ball gets broken up there. Didn't quite see what happened to Fernandez there.
Yeah, I was looking at Pierre. Pierre got crushed from behind when Fernandez was amongst the crowd. And Ange, we talked a little bit about him off air, but it looks like Muslim Omar is coming in for the University of Portland. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Yeah, he's a player that just got cleared. He's an international player from Canada. He's been playing with the Bayern Munich program as a youth player. And this is a player that Nick Carlin-Voigt and his staff are extremely excited about. They weren't sure if he was going to be able to get cleared in time for this season, and he was. And so this is going to be a player that's going to hopefully get some good minutes for them and come in and really change the game for them in midfield. Ball's moving very fast right now, so as a freshman coming into this program, you're seeing a lot of, in this game especially, you're seeing a lot of very hard, fast, late challenges, and Umar is going to have to be able to handle that physically and keep the play moving for the Pilots, create some opportunities.
5'9" freshman Muslim Omar, born in Nigeria, grew up in Canada. Club-wise, you mentioned Bayern Munich connections. He played as part of their world squad for a couple of friendlies. Most recently played with York United in the Canadian Premier League as well, and it's going to be Canadian for Canadian as he replaces Cambridge. Sanga goes to the right flank. Omar plays out left.
I think it is Umar.
Umar? Umar on the ball right now, really positive turn. Touches a little bit too heavy, but still in Fernandez's position. He goes down, call not given. Fernandez stays on the ground. UCA trying to go the other way.
And Fernandez got his foot tripped up there on the shot, and that's what they want the foul called for.
Was inside the 18 as well, for sure.
But Umar immediately making his presence known on the field. Really good first touch, good presence in terms of where he's putting that first touch to set himself up for an opportunity on goal.
It's a front line that has a little bit of everything for the University of Portland. Sanga showing the pace, doesn't get to the ball. Sliding challenge comes in well. Comes back and grabs a loose change. Gives it over to number 6, Fernandez. Good passing sequence. Ball shifts from far side to near. Konze sends in a left foot across with a lot of pace behind it. Umar and Konze and a double team on the ball. UCA had a counter opportunity going forward. Can they split the lines? Rodwell has to give up some real estate in terms to get a better defensive position. UCA in the final third. Yepa, who's been solid defensively since he's come in.
That's a great rundown from Yepa, as you said. Rodwell just concedes ground coming around the outside, but that's no problem because Yepa read that all the way, gets his body in, doesn't concede a foul, and ultimately ends up earning the foul for the Pilots.
It's been a first half titled by chances for University of Portland. Nothing yet, but the opening segments of the first half and the closing of the 45 have been positive. You want to take this momentum and preferably a goal if you're Nick Carlin-Voigt into halftime. Still 1-0 to the visitors.
And this is the problem that Portland has to look to solve in the second half. Right now they're playing on their halfway line, and almost all 11 players for UCA are behind the ball. That's a lot of players in very little space. And so again, quick ball movement, better movement off the ball to try to find some of these gaps and break these lines for the Pilots, just to create some more opportunities. We just haven't seen enough opportunities and chances from Portland yet.
Andreessen. He's been a good substitution. He's been a physical presence. He's dropped and grabbed the ball, linked up play. Long ball by Lapointe Guevara. Heard over the PA, the loudness of Clive's Armament. Also, now less than 1 minute to go in the opening half.
Carlin Boyd wants this ball up the field. He's trying to urge his players up the field. Get up there with a little more quickness, a little more urgency.
Umar and Kunze awfully close together on the left flank. Looks like Portland are trying to suck UCA in a little bit and then go long ball from right to left. As Fernandez gets bumped from behind, quickly places it on the grass. 15 seconds left, nearly all 10 going in. And why not? Ball has too much under it and goes past all. That's going to do it for the opening half. UCA, the Bears, up 1-0. It's been a positive first half for them. Positive chances for the University of Portland. But if you're Frank Kohlenstein, you will happily take a 1-0 after 45. And we'll talk more about it when we come back from a break on the WCC network. But what needs, well, we'll talk about it on the other side. They're currently 1-0 in favor of the away team, the Bears. University of Portland will likely go back to their starting 11 for the second half. I'm Adam Sussman. Stay tuned on the WCC for an exciting following 45. for the second half of action at Merlot Field. The home side, University of Portland, currently trail 1-0 as they trot out for the second 45 of action. Angela, before we went to the break, I posed the question to you, what needs to change for this second 45? Portland did some things well, controlled the majority of the ball, but still find themselves trailing.
Well, I think what Carlin Boyd's going to have talked to him about is two things. One, they're just not being quick enough. There's that lack of that killer mentality that he has talked about in the final third of getting the ball, getting it into the box, and getting a shot off very, very quickly. Part of the problem from that is that the number of challenges that the UCA team is presenting to them in doing that. And the stat that tells me that story is the foul stat. UCA right now out-fouling them 13 or 14 to 9, which means that they're being very disruptive. They want the game disrupted. Portland needs to play quick. They want the game to be flowing. And as much as UCA protests at some of the fouls, it's by design. They want to stop. They want to stymie the Portland attack and really disrupt Portland's ability to flow. So what Nick Carlin Boyd's going to need in the second half is more opportunities from Cambridge, Fernandez, and Tracy. Those are kind of his key. Cambridge was very quiet in the first half. Those are kind of his key players, and those are his key playmakers, because you want Nava free to make that second pass. You don't want him being maybe the initial playmaker. You want him the second pass or the finisher. So more production from those three guys right now, get them more involved in the game, and I think Portland will have a goal, at least one goal in this half for them.
In preseason, one thing they did so well was getting their playmakers out in space. A big reason for that was, look, when you're up a goal, the opposition side is going to push more bodies forward. So you have your playmakers like Cambridge, like Nava on the wings having more space. And every time I've seen Cambridge on the ball, there's at least 2 or 3 jerseys on them every single time. They've done a good job defending the wings. Is there anything Portland can do to counteract that? Maybe more bodies centrally? Because UCA has done a good job doing that.
No, I think it's Tracy and Rodwell coming up in support. As Cambridge gets that ball out wide on the wing, you have to have Tracy and Rodwell, maybe Fernandez, coming in behind him. Let him play the ball back to them and redirect. Now you're looking for a shot in front of goal, because where Cambridge is getting the ball, you don't have the guys in the box to get the cross off and get the numbers in there that you want to compete and win that ball.
It's not the case for Central Arkansas, as there is a few substitution holdovers from the first half. But for the University of Portland is pretty much the same starting 11, with the exception of the Norwegian Oliver Yippa starting this second half. Other than that, it looks like it's back to the normal allotment of 10 players. Obviously, Yippa the exception. And we're underway for the second 45 as Karim Diaw, the senior from Bordeaux, France, gets it underway. Strong volley. Hits off the back of Jose Olmos. There is Olmos shoving it out of play. Excuse me, that was Sebastian Hernandez. A lot of options on the bench for the University of Portland. Some capable difference makers in the final 20, 30 minutes or so. Shot gets past a crowd of bodies. And an early diving Tasso Reese gets it. There's a lot of bodies on the ground in the first half. Hoping that isn't the case in the second 45. Kunze has a good turn. The play-along pass by Babale wasn't good, but UCA one-up them in a negative sense. You talked about UCA wanting to muddy this game up, Ange, and after they scored the goal, they played the game inside the game really well. And I think they saw what University of Portland was capable of in that first 5-7 minutes, and they said, this may be the game we needed to play, and give them credit, it's worked.
Right, and one way that you can counter that is to start to play a little bit more direct, get the ball off your foot quicker, and get the ball direct to your center forward or even your wings in the corner. But UCA has done a good job of pushing a high line up and compressing that space and making it really difficult for those long balls in behind.
Keeper Zach Schall had to make 3 good saves in the opening 5 minutes. After that, in the following 40, had to make just 1. Each team credited with 4 shots on target. Portland had some set-piece chances that he warmed his palms on, but other than that, Was no save to be seen. In total, Portland had 6 shots. UCA 5. Kunse looks to be the man on the set piece. He runs past it. Low ball in. That's a tough ball to corral up. It bounces right in front of him. Shaw gets low, does a good job.
Yeah, it's a good skipping ball in, and that's definitely a ball that's going to create havoc. It's one that you're hoping will be a play that turns into a shot. You're not necessarily shooting it, but it's one that you're hoping that the keeper's going to bobble, or you're going to take a deflection and give an opportunity for a teammate.
Yippa picks up the loose change that Tracy won off the midfielders of UCA. 2 players down. University of Portland, one holding the back of his leg.
I think that's Sanga, German Sanga.
Once he got subbed in, he has not exited the game. Kareem Diaw playing the game with the referee yet again. Clive's Army is chanting, "You can't do that." Unfortunately, it is the Bears' ball. So in that circumstance, he can do it. It's been 2 games in a row, one, albeit in the preseason, that the opposition has worn purple. One of my favorite University of Portland kits was the half purple, half black from last season. We'll see if they debut that number sometime soon. They have a lot of games at Merlo Field in September. You'll be hearing me and Angela Harrison's voice very often on the WCC network. Last season at home, Portland was 9-3-1.
And this is exactly what Carlin Voigt wants to see out of his team. That's a great win from Sebastian Hernandez in the back third. Plays it out well through Fernandez in the midfield, and then a quick redirect out to Cambridge. Just more quality on those passes. Serve it up on a platter for your teammates.
Cambridge. He got a rest at the end of the opening half, hoping to wreak havoc. With 40 minutes left to go in the contest. Each of these teams have lost significant talent from the season before. I talked about the 14 players that the University of Portland lost, amongst the major of them. Starting defenders RJ Stretch and Brian O'Hara both gone. Elsewhere in that back line, we saw Paul Odenhall play significant minutes at fullback. Leading scorer Alejandro Pereira, who came on very strong to end the season, had a hat trick against San Diego, is gone. He was eventually awarded with the Benji Mitchell Offensive MVP. But getting George Tassaris and Arteaga back, all WCC honors last season, is major for this team. For Central Arkansas, who have not been able to hold possession. They've mostly been going long, but they have an opportunity to do right here with Alex Kiss. Kiss taking on Hernandez. Good ball in, and a diving header comes in by Andresen.
In Portland, that's just a dangerous opportunity. Needs to confront a little quicker, a little more direct. Can't let that cross come off without being challenged a bit better there.
Hernandez tiptoes the end line. Kareem Diaw wanted the 1-2 pass back from Gilt. Tracy fighting for it. The two both throw a 2-footed challenge in. Tassaris has to come out and get it. He doesn't initially. He's confused, and the foul is given. A little bit surprised he didn't dive back on that ball afterwards. The whistle did eventually come in.
I think he did take a bit of a hit to the back of the head on that challenge, or just maybe into that front part of his chest.
For Central Arkansas, their best player last year was Alberto Suarez. Here's another look at it. And Tassaris
ball comes in,
certainly
just
there first.
straight through to the chest there.
Their leading,
so it just hits him in the rib cage.
Their leading scorer was Alberto Suarez, and you don't often see a defensive player of the year in conference also lead his team with goals with 8. Well, that's what he did last year. He was a unanimous first team all ASUN last season. They had 2 other all ASUN members both returning to this side. Kareem Diao and Zach Shaw. Keeper and a forward. For University of Central Arkansas, as they get tripped up trying to progress the ball quickly. On Monday, less than 48 hours from now, on Sunday, they're going up to Seattle to face University of Washington, who's currently ranked number 3 in the country. It's their first ever game in the state up north. Fernandez, Yippa. Good ball over to Cambridge. All about getting your playmakers in space, and that's what the Pilots are doing right now. 2 to Cambridge, fakes the cross, second chance goes in, there's a sliding chance. And inside the 6-yard box, literally.
And that's a great effort there from Sanga. UCA does just enough to disrupt it, and great ball across here, Sanga, and just can't get the piece of it to redirect it.
Yeah, he left his feet just a smidge too late.
But that's a quality cross there from Cambridge, and that's what I talked about at halftime. He's got to start creating more chances like that. And you saw as he was running out there, it was a 1v2. He had to take his opportunity early. Unfortunately, he did have Sanga running into the box, through the box for him.
I'd say paired with the Jose Olmos header chance in the opening half. That is one of, if not the best chances of the game for University of Portland so far. Last season, Sanga had a game-winning overtime goal against number 15 LMU. Had a goal against Gonzaga. Also started both games in the postseason. So Nick Carlin-Voigt uses him in big game situations. And Nava may have started this game, but Sanga has controlled the wing for the majority of it. 54th minute. The visitors, University of Central Arkansas, currently lead 1-0 in their first ever matchup with the Pilots. Diao is going to be offsides.
We don't know if it was necessarily Diao there or Andre Assen, who was lined up a good 5 or 6 yards behind that Portland line on that free kick and just waiting for that team to drop in on the service, and they didn't quite catch up to him, so may have cut that one out before anything could develop.
Diao pops it across to Andreasen. And then not enough burn in the tires for Jonathan Randall to get there. Not many could. Central Arkansas, since they became a Division I program, have only made the NCAA tournament once. That was in 2017. They lost 2-0 to SMU. And it may be the first 2 games of the season, but this is the most important 2 games of their season in terms of regular season campaign. If you can get results against Portland and Washington before your conference slate, the committee's doing you a lot of favors later in the season.
Well, and a lot of what the committee is looking at is the strength of your schedule based on the other team's schedule. So, Portland's playing a very, very tough schedule this year. They're playing a lot of very different powerhouses, a lot of NCAA tournament teams. And so if Portland gets results against those teams, that only bodes well for, a positive result here tonight for UCA.
You talk about those traditional NCAA men's Division I powerhouses. Portland got a historic win against UCLA last year. They're going to want revenge this year. That game's on September 10th here at Merlo Field. The next home game on the 19th, currently ranked number 6 in the country, West Virginia. And amongst that, playing teams like number 13 Indiana in 4 days' time. Having 3 ranked games in the next 6 is no joke. Good opportunity.
That's Diao on the ball. Certainly knows how to hold it up and draw attention and draw pressure to himself, and Portland just needs to stand him up there. He's looking for that foul. He's looking for that opportunity here. So just a bit more patience there from Portland in standing him up. That's exactly what he wants to do, is draw that foul and get this opportunity for his team.
The silky and strong player. It's hard to really pinpoint one chance for the Bears this game that you think they've deserved to score on. Doesn't matter what I think. Score is still 1-0. Headed back in. That could be the chance they wanted. Tosser Reese bumped in the back. And players are letting frustrations boil over. We talked about UCA playing the mind games really well this game. Now, you don't want to give them credit for starting anything, by no means, but they are getting under the skin of the Pilots.
Yeah, and the atmosphere here, it's the home opener for this team, and as you see, that number 19 there is actually Jose Olmos. That is not Fofana. Yeah, so definitely a swap of the jerseys at halftime if he had some blood or something on his jersey, but he gets the yellow card there.
Yeah, let's take a look.
As we see this ball come in, and it's a decent opportunity, but it's a great get from Tosser Reese there. And again, there's that undercut. We've seen that play a couple times from both sides, and just undercuts the player right there and comes down underneath him.
Jose almost might have more drippage coming out of his nose as he's back on the sideline. I think he wants to get back out there. The trainer said, "Give me a second."
Well, and you know, all the players on both teams and the coaching staff certainly giving an earful to this referee crew. Almost not happy with the decision to yellow card him and having to sit there off the field where he is, being attended to.
Jose almost had a not beautiful shoulder injury against University of Washington last weekend. Today he's struggled with a bloody nose a couple of times. Fernandez. Artiega, who's our player to watch this game, back onto the pitch. I called him this summer at PDXFC, played all but a few games, and when they were short-staffed, you know, players for their colleges, out on trips, family, whatever, Artiega got some experience playing center back, and I talked to him after the game, and I don't want to out him, but they did give up 7 goals last game. Nonetheless, he talked about it as a learning experience, and he may not be playing there often for the University of Portland, but in case of emergency maybe, and just knowing what to think as a center back gives you better understanding of what Delancey-Pierre and Rodwell are thinking. Into the 18, Portland with another chance, cut out quickly, wasn't able to get past the first man. Fernandez leaps towards the sky. Hernandez settled things down. Gave it back to Jeppe. Jeppe played with Brøndby in Denmark. Before that was with Midtjylland, two of the most significant, recognizable clubs in Denmark. Fernandez, pile drive from behind. Nick Carlin-Voigt, expressive as ever, waiting for a yellow card. Fernandez has been the one to take a lot of beatings. We've seen him on the pitch often.
Lights can't catch it on the camera right now, but there's a lot of grass stains on the front of his jersey.
A good sideline cam of Nick Carlin-Voigt right now, using his foot advantage over the fourth official, walking him all the way down the line. I often think being a fourth official, not the funnest job, Ange.
No, you
because
really
you're not making the decisions, but you're taking all the heat.
Yeah, you're trying to maintain calm and at least trying to communicate what the referee is thinking in making some of these calls. And if you can, you know, this camera crew or this referee crew isn't mic'd up, they don't have communication with each other across the field, but certainly would be communicating some of those things to the referee in that system.
Kunze. It's across direct to Zach Shaw. Kunze was captain at UMBC last season. Played for PDXFC this summer. Got the lay of the land here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, playing for them. Last season, started all 8 games for UMBC, in 2020. The tall left-sided center back, or fullback, as looks like he's playing right now. Portland as a back four don't have a massive amount of height, so having Kunze there at fullback able to defend corners and such with his taller frame as the ball gets past Tassaris, and it's a penalty.
Yeah, Tassaris comes out there. Very ambitious play from him.
He just missed the ball and got the player.
And it's interesting because if you're UCA right here, I don't know why you're talking to the referee. You got the call that you wanted to, and it's not, that challenge is not something that is a send-offable offense. It's not a red card. It's a challenge. They earned the penalty. There's absolutely no reason to be talking to him right now.
He is on one yellow card already, so if you want to have any type of word, that's it. George Tassaris might have a word with the kicker, penalty kick taker Andreasen. Tassaris did save a penalty against the University of Washington when it was 2-0. Stakes quite a bit higher in this one. Crowd roaring. Andreasen, who scored 21 goals in his collegiate career, looking for the 22nd. This would be his first in the purple of UCA. Winds up, takes a stutter step, and sends Tassaris the wrong way. It is 2-0. And with just 1/3 of the game to go, University of Portland is certainly in trouble.
And that's a solid finish there from Andreasen. Very calm, didn't have to smash it, just send it very perfectly right into that far corner. Had, as you said, Tassaris going the other way.
Tassaris made the save going that direction against the University of Washington. Not sure if Andreas saw it or not, but it was a good stutter step. I will give him that. Often in professional soccer, that's the hop you see oh so often. Good to see young player Oliver Yippa leading the charge inside of the grouping after the goal. Portland's going to need a lot in these final 30 minutes.
Yeah, they're just going to need to regroup, get their heads about them, and expect that this game isn't going to get less physical from here. It's going to get more physical, and they have to manage their emotions. They already have, as you mentioned, Tassaris on a yellow card. They are very much need to manage the emotions of this game to ensure that nobody gets sent off.
Babale restarts it for the University of Portland. Yippa has some confusion, and a quick foul is going to regain the ball for UCA. Central Arkansas outscored their opponents 27-22 last season in terms of shots, 192-168, 1.6 goals per game. They're beating that average thus far. They were picked to finish second in the ASUN Conference behind Lipscomb. For the University of Portland, they were picked to finish first in the WCC. The non-conference is, at least this year, if you look at it for UP, tougher than the conference slate. I'm not saying it's more important, but for RPI and rankings-wise, everything counts.
Andreasen definitely feels like he's got something to prove out here. He's coming in. He's, did a little bit of the quiet down to the Clive's Army crowd over there after he scored and gets the foul off the kickoff, and then you see him there kind of chasing down the Pilot back line, and definitely somebody who has to be careful about how he's going to manage the next 30 minutes.
Babale won the ball back for his team, drawing a foul from Gutierrez, and UCA is going to get it going the other way. And 9 or so submerge onto the referee from both sides, and a yellow card is quickly shown to UP.
It's going to Nick Fernandez. He showed that yellow card to. Going against Diao. And again, Diao is a very smart player. He's going to draw those fouls. He's going to sucker you into those opportunities where you're going to make a late, careless challenge.
Babale and Ruben Gill having a word with one another in the central circle. Talked about all the European players that UCA have. Gill from Leicester, England, played for Leicester City's U18s. But a key player for this team for 2 seasons now. Ball back inside, and Tassaris is just absolutely crushed. And surprisingly, no yellow card shown. Tassaris is down as the clock is stopped at 60-23. Andreasen is a big body, and that was a hard challenge.
That was a very hard challenge, and I am a bit surprised, given how Andreasen's played and reacted over the last 5 or 10 minutes, that the referee has not shown him a caution.
Tassaris pops back up. Athletic trainer not needed. Looked like he held his leg there. There's just been a lot of collisions in the air, Angel. A lot of bodies going into each other.
After they went 2-0 up, that's definitely... Andreasen knows that Tassaris is coming for this. Now, he had his back turned. He had, going up for that challenge, had his back turned. But as he was running in, he looks and sees Tassaris coming off that line and is definitely trying to get there and intercept the ball. He has a right to make a play on that, but as the goalkeeper's coming for it, you have to be aware of those things.
Last season, if you had to highlight an expertise of Tassaris, he was a shot stopper. When you think about goalies, you have these different categories you like to fit him in. But if there's a positive takeaway from this game, he is ever so willing to come off his line, even leave the 18.
Right now, they're just double checking just to make sure he's okay. He did take a hit to the head, and you know, the athletic training staff has to make sure that when you do get hit in the head like he just did, and you saw that on the replay, a pretty decent collision there. You know, you got whiplash, concussion concerns. You have to make sure that they're right before you let them continue.
University of Portland outscored teams 9-1 in preseason. That has quickly vanished from memory as Portland stands to lose this game 2-0. The current scoreline follows. Yepa, good drag back. Tracy wins it back for his teammate. Kunze going in the right direction, plays it up the line right in front of Clive's Army and headed out of play. They're saying last off of UP. Not sure the last connection came, but Sanga and the man on him were right next to each other. Yellow card shown. I think it was to Sanga for giving a poor ball back to UCA. Yellow cards being flashed.
I think that actually he showed it to Babalai as Babalai was walking by him.
Babalai was also.
So I think it's the verbal right now. That might have been Sanga on the ball, but Babalai, the verbal conversations back and forth between the referee at this point, with this many yellow cards and this many fouls in the game, both teams need to just let it go and realize that the conversation with the referees aren't really going to yield them any fruit.
Look, ideally, Portland, for them, they score 3 in the next 30 minutes, and we all say kumbaya. But if you are going to lose this game 2-0, 2-1, at least don't lose any further. Don't lose any players. Portland struggled with red cards last season. Don't start the trend in 2022. Kunze sends in a bullet of a cross, takes out a player. Throw it 16, 17 yards from the far side corner flag. Athletic support going to be needed yet again. And the player who had a bright, it's only 5 or 6 minutes, Ange, Muslim Umar coming back into the contest, number 11.
Yeah, and it'll be good to see what he's going to do. He's got about 30 minutes on the field, provided he doesn't get subbed off. But that's a smart sub from Carlin Voigt. Babalai coming off. He's on a yellow card. Might as well give him a rest and make sure that he can kind of cool himself down and doesn't get another caution for some other reason.
First ever meeting between these two sides. While Portland may not be ranked in the top 25, University of Central Arkansas will treat this win as such, and positive momentum as they head north to Seattle after this to face Washington. Kareem Diaw on the pitch. That's going to be a yellow card. Seemingly everyone on the pitch for University of Portland has some sort of caution. To Yepa or Tracy?
Well, I think he showed it to Yepa, but it was Tracy on the foul.
Here are two similarly height blonde midfielders for the University of Portland. 63rd minute, fans are growing restless. Hopefully the boos from the crowd don't affect the players too much on the pitch, but it has. Sometimes frustrations have boiled over here and there, but there's still 28 minutes, Ange. This game is not over. It's not like there's 5 minutes left and it's a 2-goal difference. Portland has a chance to come back in this game. I saw it against Washington. They're capable of goals and bunches with this current side that they have.
Well, and we saw the same thing against Oregon State with them, and really what UCA has done so well, and full credit to them, is just really disrupted Portland off their game plan now, just on plays just exactly like that, where Portland's got momentum, they're coming forward, and they're going to come through and say, you know, hey, we're just going to slow them down. That's Sing Gill for UCA with that caution. Just slow them down and keep them from trying to flow, to keep them from trying to play. And unfortunately, this has baited Portland into doing the same thing. And, you know, when I watched them against Oregon State, you watched them against UW, Portland really can play a very good, free-flowing, attacking style of soccer. But when it's a kind of punch-you-in-your-face type brand and they get suckered into that, it's very hard for them not to mentally get away from what they're trying to do and go straight into the other team like they're doing now.
The link up between the midfield and the forwards was something that was so noticeable in preseason. It seemed like Tracy and Arteaga at times, and even Fernandez, were almost part of that forward line, but they could get back in defense. That has not been a fact today at all. It seems like they've been doing more defensive duties, winning the ball back, and the connectivity between the midfield and the front, as we see right there, just has not worked out. Hernandez, won it back. Pierre gives it across. All 11 behind the ball for UCA. Hernandez has Cambridge, instead goes inside to Fernandez. Umar made a good play to keep possession. Portland, ever so slightly, are getting into the final third. As they creep towards, a ball stagnates amongst the out-of-bounds line. A fortunate bounce is not well received by Greg Tracy, and then a good tackle made. The press is certainly on, Ange.
And that was better patience and build-up from Portland. You see what they're capable of. That was the best, probably some of the best ball movement and best off-the-ball player movement that we've seen on the hour. And really, again, it's just, again, managing the emotions, letting the mistakes go, letting, you know, everything going on with the referee go, letting everything going on with the other team go, and playing the way that you know you can play and what you're capable of doing. Every
time Portland loses the ball, as we've seen in the last 60 seconds or so, all 7 are staying there to swarm, and just the back 3 back for cover. Olmos, who was wearing 19 for a bloody jersey earlier in the match. Delence Pierre, all WCC second team last year. He was the only underclassman to start on senior night last year. It's been a rock for this team. Andresen, really good play to retain possession. Give it to their talisman, Kareem Diaw. Diaw, one of 2 players in the A-Sun Conference to be on the Mac Herman watch list. Ange, do you know, can you win the Mac Herman Trophy if you're not on the watch list to start the year?
Generally, no. It's the list that's voted on to start the year. Generally speaking, no, I don't think so. At least I haven't heard of it. But it's the watch list, and then at the end of the year, they'll put the finalists out for the voting towards the end of the year, and it's a group of about 10 finalists, I think.
Last season, Tassa Reese was on it. Not amongst the 38 this season. Sam Fowler, who was the Washington keeper that Portland faced last weekend, is amongst that 38. Tassa Reese bested him last week. Fernandez is trying to send in an audacious cross from about 30 yards away. Portland being outshot 9-8. They've had the better of the chances despite it being 2-0. Nick Carlin, Voigt and company, palms on the face, frustrations from the fans.
Just a challenge, and Andreassen's a big, tall guy, so he knows exactly what to do there when something comes in. in around his ankles and at his feet, he's going to hit the deck and see what happens.
Two players who started this game coming back in. Sebastian Nava, number 10. He was subbed out earlier for Sanga. He's coming back into this game, presumably going to play on the wing. There is a U Portland player down. Unfortunately, I think that's Delence Pierre.
Yep.
And then also Nick Denley coming back in. I thought the best sequences attacking of this game were when Denley was creeping up from that left back position, almost playing like a left wing. He's someone who's going to have to be part of this attack.
Well, and again, Portland, just the patience that we saw them have a few moments ago in attack to try and break this team down, because right now what UCA is doing very, very well when Portland get the ball and they're composed is dropping 10 or 11 players behind the ball, but then maintaining those two lines. They're maintaining a, kind of two stack lines of 5 and putting them pretty close together, which makes it difficult for your forward line to come into that midfield space, to come off the back line and receive it and work that ball across. So just the patience that Portland showed there needs to continue for them to generate some opportunities on goal.
Delence Pierre was down. He was able to walk back on his own. We'll see if one of the two subs is for him or not. I don't think it was originally. He's someone who more often than not plays the full 90. When he came back from injury midway through last season, was a sub in the opening 2 games and started the latter 12. He took Jalen Rodwell's starting spot, paired with Brian O'Hara last season. O'Hara graduated, gone. And now it's the young duo of Pierre and Wadwell.
So Pierre not going to be subbed. As soon as the play restarts, the 4th official will let him back on the field. But because play was stopped and a trainer had to come out for him, he will have to come off to the sideline just until play is restarted.
And almost got another wipe of the nose, able to get rid of more red. It has been a choppy opening 20 minutes of the half as that ball just sails into the East Portland sky.
We'll see Nava and Denley on.
Conce leaves the game, so that's a like for like at the left back. Denley perhaps a little bit more attacking, and Nick Fernandez leaves.
And number 6, Nick Fernandez.
No name has really shined off the page for Portland today.
Almost still having problems with that nose coming off the field. Play stopped again. He's trying to lean forward and keep it off of his jersey. The problem is that I think they keep stuffing cotton up there to stop it, and he keeps pulling it out because I don't think he can breathe very well.
It's a give and take with the athletic trainer. Athletic trainer doing his job, almost trying to do his to the best. Jose almost spent 3 years at Old Dominion University, bringing some experience to this back line. He's had an injury-prone first couple of games, but nothing that seems to be ever present. They've been more odd occurrences like a bloody nose and a shoulder popping out against UW. Scored the opening goal in the 5th minute, made a lovely run to the back post. This summer, he played with PDX-FC. They play their home games at the East Side Timbers Complex, a little bit out there on the far east side of Portland. He got some experience playing in a back 3 there under head coach Luke Babson. And his hands, Ange, are very red.
Yeah,
it looks like
catching a lot of blood there.
Fernandez got a rest of a whole 30 seconds. He's back onto the pitch. Are you a fan of the many leagues across Europe have gone to the 5 substitution mode? Are you a fan of how they do it in college?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, for a lot of these schools, you have huge rosters and you're bringing in lots of opportunities to play. And, they're student athletes. They are here for a reason, and that's to play soccer and, not be practice players. And if you're going to be a coach who's interested in developing players, you have to give them minutes on the field and you have to give them opportunities to play and not languish on the bench.
Yeah, Nick Carlin-Voigt has done a good job of that. Used many bodies today. Ball goes in. There's an Umar and one other near.
And UCA does a great job of just kind of making it difficult, just being a mess in there. As you see that ball come in, you just see the ball, the mass of players, really good marking. There's Cambridge on the outside calling for it. You've got Umar right in there, and UCA just gets their 3 players in there and just makes it difficult. They just kind of come in and form and collapse around those players, making a little barrier, not allowing them any space to come through and try to snap a header home.
Yeah, they had 3 to defend too. Even if they didn't immediately see the ball, they just swarmed towards the players. You saw those flashes of white jerseys. Next thing you know, there was purple swarmed around them. 68th minute, a tic-tac foul drawn by Kareem Diaw. He's transferred twice. Started at a lower level in community college and then went to Oral Roberts and now Division I at UCA. Still has a year of eligibility left. He's someone, when you see those accolades across his name, unanimous preseason ace on Team Mac Herman watch list, you're very excited to watch him play. I think he has some flair out wide from Bordeaux, France. And he started on the wing. He started well. I thought he disrupted Jose almost pretty well. Got in his head, created some havoc out wide. Since then, he's so good with the ball at his feet. They've just been placing him in the midfield and say, draw fouls, hang on to the ball, use your physical frame. Speaking of physical frame, Andreasen tries to chip it, and about 10 yards wide of the near side post.
And Ruben Zingill just looking over there, running next to him, going, "Hey, man, I was right here."
I was there. Yeah, UCA have been shy of counter opportunities this game. Andreasen full of confidence after the impressive penalty. But that one probably should have done the alternative. Pilots this season looking for their 16th NCAA postseason appearance. Out on the end line.
And that's good pressure there from Gurman Sanga. Earns the corner for his team, and Portland looking to be clinical here, need to find this opportunity. Got about 20 minutes left in the game, and if there's going to be a tide to turn, it's going to be right here if they can get something here.
Looks like there is 7 bodies inside the 18 for Portland. Nava just outside. Hernandez leaps like a salmon. Gets it back amongst 4. He's tabletopped, and he got the foul. Kunze on the bench. Kick the wall. You're going to need that boot. We kick across into the 71st minute. Chances have been few and far between for UCA. Portland have had a couple. Here's one right here. Can he split the 2? He's still on his feet. No whistle was blown, although 2 bodies were on the deck. And Tassa Reese. Reese starts, giving it to Denley. He's got a head full of steam after resting for about 45 minutes. Denley over to Umar. Good initial move, wins it back. Nava takes it back in the negative direction, but does so for the sake of possession. Cambridge just one on him for the time being. Takes it to his right foot. He gets stripped up from behind. Is it going to be a penalty, or is it just outside, Ange?
Just outside the box. He's not running to the spot, pointing at the spot. He's see him motioning to where the point of the foul was, and then pointing forward for Portland.
That's what Cambridge does best. When there was one on him, he said, let's take it right to him.
Yeah.
Went like a freight train towards the end line, took it to his right foot and got tripped up.
And again, you need to see more of this from Cambridge. Gets the ball right here, and you just see the foul coming through on his trailing leg right there. That's Alex Kiss coming through, and it's a hard call to make, but yeah, just outside the box where he's at.
Yeah, unfortunately for Portland, I do think it is the right call. That ball is right on the chalk. Denley, the only one over it. An interesting tactic. Number 25, Pietro Fontana, was behind Denley. That's an interesting strategy to try to guide his wall.
It's a great angle here from our broadcast for Denley.
Clock is stopped.
A little conversation there between the referee, and there's some Portland players warming up in the corner over there, so I'm not entirely sure what's happening.
Many men for Portland, just on the periphery of the 6-yard box on the far side post. Nava comes and joins Denley. A party of 2 outside the 18, a wall of 3. Shaw in his goal, standing confidently with a wide stance. Denley takes a shot on target and it's in! What a strike from Denley! Portland sprints back to the spot they want another with 18.5 minutes to go.
What a composed, cool, and magnificent finish from Denley. On his left foot, finds that opening, could not have placed it any better. Shaw had no chance from where that was, just beyond the head, and it just goes off the head of Andreasen for UCA and just flicks it inside that far post. Tremendous finish from Denley. So difficult to defend, and wow.
Purple flares go. What a 24 hours for Denley. Earns a full ride scholarship at the University of Portland. Proves them right for the decision right there. It bangs in a goal into the upper 90 of Shaw.
That's a terrific goal for Portland to start their season account.
He had plenty of time to think about it, and she was hovering over that ball for a while.
This is where, again, the emotions are going to go up again. UCLA does not want to concede another quickly. Portland wants that one, so things are going to get chippy again.
Yepa with the foul, and the crowd may disagree with that one, but he did catch. He did indeed catch Gill there. He was late on the challenge after the heavy touch. Smell of flares. A brilliant aroma around Merlot Field, because you know what it means. The Portland still desperately needs one more to walk out of here with a result. And that one goal eases frustrations a bit. They saw it pierce the net once. A new energy has revitalized the toss out by Tassaris's. Not great, impressive play to keep it in. A sliding challenge, and I mean sliding, his whole body gets it out of play by Denley.
It's well done, well recovered from Denley, and I would like to have seen, I know what Tassaris was going for there, just that quick counter, but didn't quite see those UCLA players coming around the corner. Would like to see him hold on to that ball a little bit, let Portland get up, a few more players up.
That was Jerry Gutierrez who kept it in. Fed forward. Tough call against Umar.
I'm not sure about that call.
They got him on a shove, I think, but
yeah,
it's
hard to do when you're on the ball. When you have the ball, it's very hard to get a foul called against you, but sure.
Amongst a grouping, it's a tough call to make amongst a break. Number 19, Bernard Asibe Rule, who's in his first season with UCA, is getting ready to come in. Tassaris had an ill-advised toss the last time. Nick Denley, good touchdown with the left. It was bothered by behind. Umar into the box, left-footed cross in. There's bodies there. Cambridge on it, not a great first touch. Has options to his right. Keeps it with his left, goes back to Denley. He's the man of the moment, sends it across off the backside. Advantage given, and then there's going to be another foul. We'll see which one is given first.
Will be the first one, and that's just such a great play from Umar. Coming in on the corner, look at that foul count. That is
a lot
high.
of fouls.
But Umar gets that play going, and what was tough about that is that Cambridge just didn't check his shoulder, saw Tracy running in, Cambridge coming away from goal, Tracy coming in that goal. In at goal, Tracy definitely wanted that one.
Good play by Zach Shaw to sprawl out and grab it. 76th minute. Pilots trail by 1. 48 fouls, Ange. It's been a physical, that's the kind word to say, opening game of the season.
It's a foul every 2 minutes.
Yeah, and a lot of those have stopped the clock. Long thrown by Hernandez. Good flick out. Denley, banana kicks it back in, and UCA do what they've done best and get rid. Tassaris sends it back the other way. It's a game of kickball. Tassaris had to be confident with that kick. There was 2 oncoming Bear players.
See Tassaris going to be more aggressive off his line, really trying to push that back line up in these last 15 minutes, sweep up everything in behind them, and see if Portland can push just a few more players forward to try to get this equalizer.
UCA have been waiting for a sub for a long time, trying to bring in Bernard Sibe-Rule, an experienced midfielder, try to retain possession and defend. Denley takes it over the halfway line. Looks like Cambridge and Umar have switched flanks. Nava left it, and that is going to be a foul in a great territory. Yellow card comes out as well.
I think that's against Laufer. I know that it was number 20, Jerry Gutierrez, standing over the ball, but I think that's Laufer who ultimately ended up conceding that foul.
Who was the body that went down for Portland? Because it was a good pass by Nava right there.
It was Fernandez.
It was Fernandez, yeah.
And it actually was Gutierrez on the foul. Laufer was just right there, just ran around him.
Gutierrez, Fernandez did a good job because he was behind Gutierrez when that pass was made, trying to nudge himself around him and draws the foul.
Portland has been so productive in the last 15 or so minutes, just generating these opportunities, and it's going to be something that Carlin Voigt looks back on after this game, is just especially this 15-minute spell of, how could we have introduced this earlier into the game and create these opportunities for ourselves earlier in the game.
Denley and Nava, the same 2 as last time. Umar to the left if they want a quick passing option, but I think this one's going, attempting to go directly on target. Denley on his left, would be Nava on his right. A wall of 4. A talented keeper in net. Denley again, curls it over, and a great save by Shaw.
Terrific save by Shaw, but fortunately I think he knew where that one was going. Left-footed, that was probably always going to his right in that upper corner. Very similar to the goal that he scored, but you can see from here, the way he's lined up, that's going to be so hard to pull right. So as he hits that, that's definitely going to the left, keeper's right, and so Shaw can get a good read on that and get a good hand to it to take it over.
Falls for Umar. Good low cross, one leaves it, chance at the back post, and it's in! 2-2 UP, they want another! Run into the center circle, Tassaris, the captain, is leading the troops. 13 minutes left, 2-2, Clive's Army going crazy.
And that's Nick Fernandez putting himself as kind of the garbage guy. That's what they call him, the guy that sits around the outside and poaches and looks for those opportunities. Such a clean striker of the ball. He really did put all of his foot through that one and zips it through the area. What a tremendous finish. And that's the equalizer Portland needed. And 13 minutes to go, you got to think that there might be one more goal in this game.
I don't know if we're able to get a replay of the whole segment. We are right here. Whoever dummy.
What a great ball through Umar. And
it was a great dummy.
That was Pierre Delence that did the, Pierre that did the dummy. Just knew where it was coming. Pierre can't get anything on that ball. With the number of players around him and the way he was coming in at the angle, that's not a great decision for him. So the better decision absolutely is to dummy to the garbage players that are sitting outside the area for that. And that is one Nick Fernandez with a great goal to open his account with the Pilots.
And Fernandez way too often in that situation when you hit it first time, it skies over the bar. You know, they try to hit it perfectly, top 90. He said to himself, let me just get this on target, because that is way too quick of a reaction for Shaw to make, and it wasn't perfectly placed in either corner. He went to the center of the net, and it pierced it.
In a situation like that, you keep it low on that, you keep it on frame. If you're not hitting it on frame, it's definitely going to go and get a ricochet, and you have a pretty good chance to score from that.
Everyone has live lead up at Merlot Field. They won a third. As Portland has certainly taken advantage of the set pieces.
That's a big challenge from Laufer in the back. You see him kind of jump into that tackle, but he kept his foot down, which didn't earn him the foul there. Portland wanted it, but Laufer jumped into it with his cleats down.
Yeah, Sebastian Hernandez and Kareem Diaw went chest to chest there after that big challenge. The referee almost perfectly had his head turned, so he didn't see what went on. Otherwise, we might have gotten a clock stoppage and a talking to both of them. Daniel Shabani, the Swedish sophomore. Good throw in to the middle of the pitch. Finds Gutierrez. Gutierrez, 2 assists last year, looking for his first of this campaign. Falls well and shoveled away. All of Clive's army on their feet. The press still rampant for the home side, and they force a turnover.
And if you'll recall, this is how Portland started playing in the opening 4 or 5 minutes of the game. A really good press up top that starts with Nava and ends with Cambridge forcing that turnover.
Tassaris.
Portland needs to maintain their composure here.
Sanga. Nava calms things down. Cambridge takes it right to the Bears. He's getting tugged on from behind over and over, and advantage is going to be played.
He's calling the foul there, not on Laufer, but on Diaw.
Diaw was the one to be tugging the back of the kit from Cambridge.
Yeah. Laufer came in and happened to just come in at the wrong time, and the advantage was given there.
The way this 11 has played for UP, you have to presume this may be the 11 to finish it out. If you weren't here to listen to the beginning of the broadcast, and if you're wondering what happens if this scoreline stands, last year it would go to 2 10-minute golden goal overtime periods. This year, nothing. It ends in a draw. Portland's going to know that. Nick Kronvoigt, certainly smart enough to know that. They're going to be pressing for it. Fernandez, and there's a foul beforehand.
That's Denley just coming up on that pressure and preventing Diaw from turning and getting anything there.
Less than 10 to go. Plenty of stoppages, but the final 15 has been wildly entertaining. UCA have had little chances. Delancepierre and his opposition on the ground. So many legs and boots flying in. And it's going to be Portland's ball. Sanga made the right idea to try to drop his shoulder and turn quickly.
Solid defending there from Portland in the back. They need that. Again, stand them up. Try to keep your body upright. UCA will be looking for any opportunity to take the foul and earn a free kick. So Portland really has to make sure that they're, especially late in the game when their legs are tired, their 1v1, 2v2 defending doesn't leave any openings for UCA.
The Bears' number 10, Jonathan Randall, back into the game. The sophomore forward looking to accompany support, and oftentimes they thought they had all the points in the bag in this game. From the 70th minute onward, it's been a storm of pilots. And I believe for the first time today, Kareem Diaw checks out. See how that affects the final ongoings. He's been crucial. Yippa. Sanga. Did what he was troubled to do seconds earlier. Long throw in. Can a cross come in? No, it doesn't. It stays in bounds. Given to Nava. Portland had calm heads, but maybe too calm. Not enough urgency inside of the 18. They get it chipped out. Cambridge won the set piece, which Denley scored off of in this area. Looked like Nava wasn't expecting it, but eventually received. Fernandez back to Cambridge, opens up some space for him. Fernandez comes short as an option. Uses his body well, and it is going to be winning a foul there. Another good piece of real estate for the Portland Pilots.
Yeah,
Denley's been the specialist.
Yeah, Gutierrez coming through there on the back of him.
This is about
just kind of gives him a little soft shove over, and that's the foul that's earned. And so Portland right there, I don't know if it's not a matter of urgency, it's finding the right chance. There was a couple chances as the ball zipped through the 18 for them to take a touch and turn, but that's where you're looking for that shot. But UCA doing a good job of defending and making Portland play another pass, and limiting good chances.
the same duo, Denley and Nava.
See Shaw creeping towards his back post. Definitely does not want to give that up again.
Might be Nava's turn. He's the one with the arm raised. Instead, Denley takes. Back post, good header away. Poor pass by Nava. He's able to make up for his mistakes and win the ball back. Has an option backwards. Instead, forces it up. Nava pokes it out.
That's a great recovery from Nava. Coming back and getting in front of Randall there. Slowing that play down and allowing Portland to recover and reset here.
Last season, Portland drew just one. Central Arkansas drew none. These teams aren't used to this score, this scoreline. 11 of the 17 games last season for UCA were one.
And that's what we're seeing again. I just called it. Andreasen wants that foul. He's backing in there. You see the Portland center back just backing up, making sure that they know there's no tugging, there's nothing going on, and Andreasen falls over and no foul given, rightly so.
Braden Knutson picks up a yellow. He's the defensive anchor for this team. Haven't hollered out his name all too often because he did a good job in the center of the park.
Yellow card booking, Central Arkansas, number 4, Braden Knutson.
Knutson took a big jump last season. Played 11 games, led his team with 7 clean sheets. Senior from Spring, Texas. Did an excellent 70 minutes of work holding this free-flowing University of Portland attack to 0. There was 2 in a 10-minute span. And now we got a 2-2 game with 5 minutes left to go. Portland will still feel like this is a failure, even if they withdrew 2 goals.
So, right now, I'm not sure if Carlin Voigt might see it that way.
Yeah.
This is tremendous resiliency. Last season, we saw Portland turn the corner after a string of 3 games similar to this, where a lot of things didn't go their way. Players red carded, caution, things like that, and they were able to turn it around. And in this game, Portland has managed it, and managed their emotions, and made sure that they came out of here with something rather than leaving with nothing, which they did more than a few times last year.
Yeah, failure is definitely harsh. Just more so, it just seems like a right of way to try to get this win after how they've played the final 20 minutes. Ball goes all the way out for a Zach Shaw goal kick. Starting keeper went 11-4 last season. He wasn't the starter early on. Vincent Sanchez was. They didn't do so hot with him. Shaw came in and was a wall. Nava, although shorter, does good to shield off in the midfield. Fernandez being bugged with, and gives it to Cambridge with room to run. Cambridge, really talented pass inside. Fernandez, edge of the box, falls back. Cross in, it was awkward. It hit off a UCA boot. Tracy wins the free kick.
Well done from Tracy there. That's a great challenge coming in there. Earns the foul there just for the UCA player coming in, not looking to challenge, and here's the quick restart.
Porsa was the man who won the foul. Fernandez gets it back after restarting play. Low cross in. Keeper probably could have dealt with it instead. Like Knutson got there first.
Very hard to deal with it as a goalkeeper when your center back steps in front of you and intercepts it.
3 minutes left to go. Portland have clawed back 2. Is there another one for this place to erupt? Tassaris. Fernandez has Tracy and Fernandez to his right. Nava leaves it off for the midfielder, making his season debut after not playing at all last year. Olmos dealt with a bloody nose all game. The pain will surely vanish if Portland can get one here. Low cross in, got past 2. Fernandez. Not dealt with properly by UCA. Andreasen uses his tall frame. And Fernandez takes away cleanly. Bullet cross to the back.
Just a little too much lift on that from Fernandez. He knew who he wanted, he knew where he was, but just a little too much lift on that. And Andreasen coming way back from his high striker role to deal with that. So Portland really causing some problems here for Central Arkansas.
Babele back in for Portland at the striker spot. Kareem Diao in for UCA. A pair of difference makers. Nick Carlin-Voigt, one of the best ball boys I've seen this season. They're right there for his team.
It's great reaction speed.
Under 90 seconds to go. Denley to Pierre. UCA playing with a 5-back. Fernandez not able to progress past this midfield line. Maybe some pace out wide will do. Omar. Hit high. See if there's a ball there quickly for UP.
Portland wanting that ball back in very quickly.
One comes in from the crowd. Able to keep playing. They were stopped for a second. 35 seconds to go. Pierre. Really the last attack for UP. Tracy comes in from a wide place to get it. Cambridge even wider. Sends in a good cross with the right foot. They were at the back post. Umar, can he keep it in? Because he needs to. There's 15 seconds left. Sends a cross back in the other way. Not great. 10 seconds to go. Clock winding down. Greg Tracy sends in a ball, and that's over the net. Applause will reign in as the University of Portland earn a draw in their first match against the University of Central Arkansas. Ange, you can take a breath now as a broadcast. The fans, the players on the pitch, give tremendous credit to UCA. This is one of the most difficult matchups they've had in a long time, and they played well.
And that's a great season opener for both teams. UCA will head up to UW now and get another tough test for them. And, you know, Portland got more than they can handle. They got a hugely physical matchup, which I'm not sure that they were fully expecting, but great things from them in terms of figuring it out, how to manage the emotions. It got really, really high stress, high tempo. A lot of fouls coming through the midfield, but they did a good job of tamping it down and finding a way to fight back and, as I said, get something out of this game rather than nothing.
Nick Carlin-Voigt's side certainly learned a lot about themselves. Final score was 2-2. Ange, do you have a player of the game for the University of Portland? Nick Denley seems like a worthy candidate.
He was pretty good, and I would say, you know, he did a great job of really being the catalyst for the Pilots and working hard, setting the work rate for this team, setting the example when they were 2-0 down, and then starting them on the road back.
George Tatsuri saved Portland oh so many times last season, so it was nice to see that the other 10 out there kind of clawed one back for him after the difficult penalty decision went against him. The 2 goals in the second half came from Nick Denley and then the other Nick Fernandez at the back post. That's going to do it at Merlot Field. For my broadcast partner, Angela Harrison, I'm Adam Sussman. We'll talk to you next week.